Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today, we have a very special speaker. Her name is Paola. She is our VP of People Operations, and she's going to be talking to us about the 7 wonders of leadership here at Jobsity. Now, I know many of you may have several comments or questions, so just please feel free to leave them in our chat, and I will read them towards the end of Paola's presentation. So, Pao, take it away, and welcome.
Thank you, Tati, for that kind introduction. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the 7 wonders of leadership by Jobsity. I'm currently a very proud job citizen leader, and I wanted to share with you what it means to be a job citizen leader here at Jobsity. And as an added bonus, I'm very happy to be here with everybody. It's my birthday today, so I'm happy to have everybody here today and to be doing this really, really special lunch and learn today with all of you guys. So first of all, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what my research has been over the years and what I have been searching around for the answer to this question that we all have is what it means to be a leader. What is a leader? And recently, I've come across these 4 descriptions that really resonate with what I believe. First of all, you can find in your normal today Webster's dictionary that a leader is a conductor, a guide, a person who commands authority or influence. In our famous ChatGPT that I know all of us are taking a lot of advantage of, it says that a person who's a leader has the ability to influence and inspire others towards a common goal or vision. And these 2 very important authors of The Art of a Leader and Managers and Leaders Are Different by the Harvard Business Review, what they're telling us is that leadership is an art of influencing others to their maximum performance to accomplish any task, objective, or project. And also that a leadership requires using power to influence the thoughts and actions of other people. So with this in mind, we can say that the key words that we find in these descriptions is someone that guides, a conductor, inspires others, but above all is a person that influences towards a common goal to have that maximum performance of their team, of the people that they work with, and of the leader itself. How does that leader influence? He or she influences through their actions, their behaviors, and leading through example. And this not only, you can see that in a workplace, you can see that in traditional country cultures, day-to-day activities, children. We all learn through example. We all learn through what we see, and we start to emulate those behaviors. So here at Jobsity, what does that mean? That means that we create a culture. And as leaders, we have to be culture carriers. And our culture is reflected in our values. And that is how we leaders have to behave through our values. And that's where the 7 wonders come from. So to run through our values, we really had a very nice revamp of this. And we were able to now establish what we want Jobsity to be and what we want Jobsity to be also in the future. And these are our 7 values. That's why it's called 7 wonders. It's be humble, be you, read the fine print, go all in, act with integrity, share what you know, make your voice heard, and make bold moves. This is something that we worked on a lot, and we firmly believe that these are the stepping stones to success in our culture now. I'm going to be sharing with you what is the definition of each of the values and what it means for a job citizen to emulate those behaviors. And then we're going to walk through a little bit what it means to be a leader that emulates those behaviors through the values. So to start us off, our first value is be humble, be you. And this value, what does it entail? It says that our company is made of diverse personalities, diversity type of people. And in order for Jobsity to continually innovate and be the best version of itself that it can be, we need to be our best selves. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to be our best selves. And humility and authenticity are the central to make the identity of a job citizen. We don't accept fakes here. How do we now translate that into leadership behaviors? When you're a leader and you are emulating the behavior of be humble, be you, you have to always be authentic with your team. We said before, we don't accept fakes here. The idea is to have no masks, to let your team and the people you work with see you as the person that you are, because by doing this, you open that space and you foster that inclusive environment that helps your employees to do the same as well, to be comfortable, to share their concerns, to share their thoughts, to not have any masks or change the way they behave around you versus the way they behave around the rest of the team members. It's also very important that when we're talking about be humble, be you, and we are talking in a leadership framework, we are not the knowledge keepers. We don't know everything. And we also know that 4, 2, 3 heads think better than one. And we always have to be open to bring on our team people that are smarter than us. That is the only way we will grow. And we will also learn. When we talk about the next value, which is very important here at Jobsity, we're talking about reading the fine print. What does this translate into? We work on details. As job citizens, we read the fine print. From the most ambitious project to the smallest tasks, and we do everything with excellence. Nothing falls through the cracks for us. Why is this important in a leader, and how does a leader start to behave using read the fine print? Is simply pay attention, be attentive, be mindfulness, experience mindfulness in every task you do in meetings when you're with your team, because we tend to multitask and we have to be very careful to pay the adequate attention and give the time and space each of the tasks deserves. When we are doing this and we do find that we might have errors or we do have to improve on things, think of as improving those highlights and those errors as opportunities for learning. Do not point fingers. The idea is to have a continuous improvement mindset by reading the fine print, by going into the details and making any improvements that you might need on processes. Take always your time to explain to your team what their expectations are. Usually we're in a hurry or we have it really clear in our head of what we want and we expect, but we're not really clear in communicating that. And so in order to have that specific, detail-oriented and quality and excellence in what we do, we have to take our time to explain everything. And in the same way, demand the high quality in everything that you do and what you expect from others. When we go on all in, which is our next value, what does it mean for a job citizen to go all in? This is basically commitment. What we want is for a job citizen to be committed to being committed. We do not half-ass our work, but instead we put all our hearts into this task. We persevere in the face of challenge and tactical obstacles with courage. We know what we're made of and we're strong in the face of adversity. What does this mean in the leadership sense? It means that we have to be committed to our tasks, give it undivided attention. Every time think of the project, of the task, of the strategy you have in mind in a very holistic manner. Take into account everything that you need and commit to it. There will be some times, and hopefully many times, where you might not agree with what has been decided or what your team decides or what other peers or other team members decide in the company, but it's your job to feel free to disagree. You don't have to change the way you think, but to be in coherence with what the majority thinks and what the decision has been made. So you have to agree. You don't have to agree, but you have to commit. That's the important thing here. And be proud always and a true advocate of your team's work. That is the way that we present ourselves outside of what our team's day-to-day is. And we always have to be the true advocate of our team's work. We're talking about our next value, which is acting with integrity. It's very important because this is one of the values that brings it all together. We can be authentic, we can be humble, we can be detail-oriented, we can be fully committed to our projects, and we can take ownership of this, but we have to do it always with integrity. A company with no morals is not the one we want. We believe in doing always the right thing, even behind closed doors, even when no one is looking. And always be striving to be the best. We invest in high quality and we don't cheap out. We choose to be people our co-workers can trust. Trust is very important with acting with integrity. And we always hold job citizens to the highest standards. When we are leaders, It's the most important value. We have to always act with integrity, and honesty is the best policy. That is one of my favorite phrases, and I use it a lot. When we don't know how to communicate something, when we're in doubt on how we should say something or what we should say, basically the answer to all our questions is honestly is the best policy. We always have to be transparent in our decision making, explain the process that we went through, treating everybody with respect, and holding oneself accountable for our actions, and also our teams and all of our team members' actions. Always ask yourself when you're strategizing, when you're thinking about next steps, when you're going over what is the new policy, the new procedure, everything that we do in the company, always ask yourself if it is aligned to the values, if it is aligned to what the company wants, if it is something that we are acting with integrity and we can see it there. And also it's very important that if we don't see that value coming into place, or we do find somebody that is going against this value, the most important thing is to speak up about it and encourage your team members to do so. The worst thing you can do is see that something is done wrong or there's a fault, and not being able to speak up about it and to bring it to the proper people to handle it. It can probably be just talking to that person and tackling that issue, or it can be taking it up with a manager or taking it up with HR. There's different policies, but always be willing to speak up on it. The next value that we have here is share what you know. Share what you know is very important, because here at Jobsity, we never stop learning. But most important, we can't be stingy with what we learn. We have to share it. We have to teach people what we learned, and in teaching, we always learn more. So we know that Job Citizen is not an island. We work in a community with one another, even from a distance. We aren't stingy when it comes to sharing our expertise. We don't keep our knowledge a secret. Instead, we seek out opportunities to share this wisdom, and we always do on the outlook to learn from others. We grow and evolve alongside our teammates, and together we are wiser and stronger. As a leader, what can you do? We can always have and share these spaces in meetings, in trainings, in articles, sharing points of view, and do that also with others. Our senior team leadership here at Jobsity, what we do, we usually share books, we have book clubs, we have specific places where we teach ourselves something, and then we work it with our team members, and then we take that down to everybody in the company. And it's been a very interesting practice, because we are always on our toes, learning the new trends, the new insights. Also, like, host these, be an active participant of hosting. Set out times to develop team members, and also set up times to learn from other people. You want to learn about something new, just raise your hand. Here at Jobsity, we're always a Slack away. We can talk to anybody in the world and ask for that help, ask for that information to learn, and then also to share it as well. Volunteer to become a mentor, to become a coach. That is one of our very important right now programs that we have with great success, and it has become a program for us to learn from our mentors and to learn as mentees, and also our mentors learn from our mentees. So it's been very, very enlightening to have that, and I encourage us all to do that in some form or another. Making your voice heard is one of the new values that we have. And I can say that this value did not come from leadership. It wasn't our leadership that said we have to have this value. This came from our job citizens. They asked for this. And it's very important that we take that into consideration and foster that environment where people's voices will be heard. Everybody has a unique perspective, a unique way of thinking, opinions, thoughts, etc. And we want to be able to share these insights honestly and directly. We also encourage, we have to foster that space for people to speak up. And that's the only time that innovation happens, when different opinions are represented. So we make room for everyone at the table. How do you do this as a leader? be an open door policy. As in a remote environment, we call that an open Slack policy. We do not have to ask permission to talk to anybody. We don't have to go first to the manager and then see if we have the permission to talk to somebody in his or her team. That does not bode well here at Jobsity. We are open, and that is the best way to have this policy, and especially in this remote environment where we're not seeing everybody on a day-to-day basis, but Slack and this open door policy brings us together. Encourage always two-way feedback. If there's something that you want to share and you want to express something to any person in the company, not just your team members, be always aware to ask, to counter ask, to say, okay, this is what's happening. This is what I want to share with you. There was an incident, an issue, be honest, and then ask that person what they think. And if they have something to tell you or some feedback on how that went down. So it's important to have that double communication and that two-way feedback. Be open and honest with your managers to encourage that behavior in your team. If you encourage that your team speak up to you, but you don't do that to your managers, then you're not leading by example. You're not influencing through example. And always make it a mission to take into consideration what your team wants to share with respect and taking it very seriously. Don't do it rushing. Take your time, sit down. If you can set out a specific time to do it, it's even better. If you have a chance to meet on site, even better. And that's basically, sorry. And our last value that we have here is making bold moves. This stems from our strategy here at Jobsity to always grow and to be better and to always strive for very, very ambitious goals. What does that come from? We always dream big. We're always dreaming on what would be the best possible way to do this? What is the best possible tool? What are our biggest ambitious goals that we have in sales? Everything, we're always dreaming big. And we want to bring these ideas to life. We want to have that be part of the culture and have not just a strategy, but the day-to-day activities. We always hold each other accountable for our decisions, and we support each other in launching big projects. But we don't leap blindly into the unknown. This is very important. At Jobsity, any project, any task, anything that we do has to be planned. We have to think about everything. Remember reading the fine print. Remember, we have to pay very much attention to details and see what that future is going to look like and map it out, and then just leap. That's what we say. Plan it and then just leap. And job citizens help each other form a game plan, and then we go for the goal. And then what does that mean as a leader? What can you do? Again, dream big, push beyond what you know. Always encourage your team members to think above and beyond, to think about the future, and not just the nice, important dreams, but also the possible issues, the problems, risk management that might arise from what this project that we're doing or this strategy that we want to put into place. It's important for us to also be always challenging that status quo. We have to forbid the phrase, but that's the way it's always been done. That's the way that we've done it through past years, and it's been great. We're not judging that it's not great, but we have to go from what is great to what can be better, and go from that good to that great, from that great to that excellent. And we have to always incentivize pilots. We are very fond of piloting things here at Jobsity. So we strategize a small version of what we want to do. We set it out, we plan it, we set it out, we put it in motion. And if it fails fast, okay, we say goodbye, we learn from it, and then we move on. That's the most important thing to do with pilots, and not just to stand there and plan something for 2 or 3 months and then put it in practice. It's a great way to do it, but it won't get the results that you want in a more faster way. Don't punish failure or lack of success. As I said before, we fail fast, we learn from it, we move on. We're not pointing fingers, we're not blaming. We knew what the consequences were because we planned beforehand, and that's what the outcome was, and we just learned from it. And always be sure to provide the resources, and those resources can be anything. It can just come from your time and your attention. It can be to bring someone smarter than you to help to accomplish that new task. And what we need from our different team members is for them also to be open on what they need and what resources they need, and to always be researching what these might be in order to get the best result of that project and to accomplish our goals. Alrighty, that was everything on my end. Thank you so much for listening. If we have any questions, it'd be great if we can tackle them right now.
Well, thank you so much, Pao, for such an amazing presentation, for sharing the 7 Jobsity wonders and how you related them to our leadership. Now, yes, we have some questions. The first question that we have is, hey, Pao, what is the hardest thing about being a leader?
Well, basically, I would say that there's not like one thing I can pinpoint to be as what is the hardest thing. It's basically having to have that mindset, that holistic mindset into consideration everything. When you're a leader, you have to look at everything from all points of view. You have to be able to see how that outcome will affect things in the future, how that outcome or everything that we're doing is going to impact your team, the timing, your deadlines that you have, your internal clients that are external clients, of the people that you're responsible for getting to those results. And the whole idea is that as leaders, that's I think the most difficult mindset, is to be looking at everything and make all those pieces fit like a Tetris game, like fit perfectly, so that everything can be done in accordance to planning and in accordance to what you want. And also taking into consideration that it's not just what we want, but it's how we're going to achieve it. And that is what we've been going into leadership behaviors, because we can achieve goals, and a leader can look at everything and achieve goals by not being that respectful, by not respecting people's times, by not giving the information, by mistreating a team, or putting a negative pressure on them. And that's not the way we want to do it. We want to always take into consideration that what we want to do and how we're going to do it.
Thank you, Pao. We have 2 more questions. The next question is, hey, Pao, great info. Which is the hardest value to develop?
All of the values, I think it's not something that we can put on a development plan and say, okay, I'm gonna start going all in the next 2 days. It doesn't happen. All of our values have a specific soft skill that you have to develop, and soft skills are not something that is done from one day to the next. But I think that the hardest value would be acting with integrity, because that's something that is done from before you're a job citizen. That's something that comes from your core values as a person, from your essence, from your family, from what you've seen. And I think that could probably be the hardest value. And it's also the hardest value to assess for when we're doing recruitment and staffing. It's the hardest value to assess for. I know there's a lot of tests that you can do, but it's never the reality. That's something that you have to do, because you can ask someone, what would you do if you find somebody that you caught somebody stealing in the workplace? And you can say, no, but I would go strictly to HR, or I would call the manager, or you can be very adamant on what that response should be. But we're talking about a hypothetical case. If the question was, what did you do when that happened, that would be very different. So that's I think the most hardest value to develop.
Okay, thank you. We have another comment. Well, we have several comments regarding your birthday. People are congratulating you for your birthday. Happy birthday, pal. We have one final question, and it says, what is the leadership style that you use in order to achieve team goals?
I think that as a leader, you cannot just have one leadership style. You have to change in accordance to what that moment in time requires. Usually, you have to know what state of maturity your team is. So when you're forming your team, you have to be a little bit more on the direction side, on the, we could say, old school way, the authoritarian side, like putting down those bases, specifically saying what you need, what needs to be done, not giving too much that space for everybody to have an opinion, because it's something that you're forming. So it basically comes from your guidelines. And then when you go into like the storming and norming part of your team, you switch. You switch into a more democratic role. You switch into a more open role to hear everyone's opinions, to talk about what needs to be done, to strategize, to bring other people into the mix, and you just from there you transition into being a leader that facilitates whatever your team members need in order to make those results happen. That, I think, is the best way to be a leader, because that's your job. You're a roadblock buster. You have to take those rocks, move them aside, give your people resources, and that is ultimately the best way to lead.
Okay, thank you, Bao. Those were the questions that we received. Once again, thank you, Bao, for being our special guest, for sharing what you know. I invite all the job citizens who are interested in being part of the Lunch and Learn series to contact Catherine Castillo or myself. We're only a Slack away. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining, and have a very happy birthday, pal.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.